Shohei Ohtani didn't hit, and somehow that made him more dangerous. For the first time in 5 years, Ohtani took the field as a pitcher only. No bat, no dual responsibility, no constant transition between roles. Just 6 innings on the mound, 10 strikeouts, 1 run, total control. On the surface, it's a simple adjustment. In reality, it changes everything. Because for once, Ohtani wasn't balancing two identities. He was fully committed to one. And the result wasn't just dominance, it was clarity. The Dodgers entered this game against the Mets making a subtle but significant decision. Ohtani would not hit. Officially, it was about keeping him loose, managing soreness after a hit by pitch, and optimizing his pitching routine. Unofficially, it was an experiment. What happens when you remove the most complex variable from Ohtani's workload? What happens when you let him operate like a traditional ace? The answer came quickly. From the first inning, his stuff looked sharper, more decisive, more aligned. The fastball had life. The splitter had depth. The sequencing was aggressive but controlled. 10 strikeouts in 6 innings, his highest total this season. That's not coincidence. That's simplification. The obvious narrative is straightforward. Ohtani got a break from hitting, so he pitched better. Less fatigue, more focus, cleaner execution. That's the easy explanation. But it doesn't fully capture what changed. Because this wasn't just about energy conservation. It was about removing interference. When Ohtani plays both roles, his game is built on constant adjustment. He hits, then resets to pitch. He pitches, then prepares to hit. That cycle never stops. And while he's mastered it better than anyone in modern baseball, it still introduces micro disruptions, timing shifts, mental resets, physical recalibration. Individually, they're small. Collectively, they matter. In this game, those interruptions didn't exist. Every inning flowed into the next. Every sequence built on the previous one. That continuity is what elite pitchers rely on and what Ohtani rarely gets to fully experience. That's the deeper difference. His dominance wasn't just stronger, it was more stable. Here's where it gets interesting. Earlier in the season, Ohtani showed signs of managing fatigue. Outings where his command drifted, where he had to adjust mid-game, where his mechanics weren't fully synced. He still produced results, but it required effort. In this start, that layer was gone. He wasn't fighting his delivery, he was dictating it. That's a critical distinction, because when a pitcher stops reacting and starts controlling tempo, the entire dynamic shifts. Hitters fall behind, counts tilt, contact becomes predictable. And that's exactly what happened. The Mets weren't just overpowered, they were out-sequenced. Fastballs set up the zone, splitters finished below it. Breaking balls disrupted timing just enough to prevent adjustment. This wasn't raw dominance. It was structured dominance. Now here's the hidden factor. Removing Ohtani from the lineup didn't just affect him. It forced the Dodgers to reorganize their offense. Kyle Tucker moves to leadoff. Freddie Freeman shifts up. The lineup reshapes around absence instead of presence. That creates uncertainty. Because Ohtani isn't just a hitter, he's a stabilizer in the batting order. Without him, the Dodgers had to generate offense differently. And they did. 8 runs, controlled production, no reliance on a single focal point. That matters, because it shows the Dodgers can absorb Ohtani's absence at the plate, at least temporarily, without collapsing offensively. That flexibility opens the door to more decisions like this. More pitcher-only starts, more workload management, more strategic deployment, and that leads to the turning point. It's not the 10th strikeout, it's the decision before the game even started. Choosing to remove Ohtani's bat wasn't just about one outing, it was about testing a different version of him. And that version looked cleaner, more efficient, more predictable in the best possible way. Which creates a real question moving forward. Is Ohtani more valuable when he's doing everything, or when he's doing one thing at an elite, uninterrupted level? That's not an easy answer, because the value of a two-way player isn't just additive, it's exponential. But exponential value comes with exponential strain, and over a full season, strain accumulates. We've already seen hints of it. Fatigue, minor mechanical drift, the constant need to recalibrate between roles. Nothing alarming, but enough to suggest limits exist. This game offers an alternative model, one where Ohtani isn't stretched across 2 roles, but concentrated into one, and the result is immediate, visible sharpness. For the Dodgers, this creates strategic leverage. They don't have to choose one path permanently, they can alternate. full two-way usage in some games, pitcher-only deployment in others. Maximize output while managing wear. That's a luxury no other team has. But it also requires precision in decision-making, because every time you remove his bat, you lose elite offensive production. And every time you add it back, you reintroduce complexity. That balance will define their season. For Ohtani, this outing reinforces something important. He doesn't need both roles to dominate. He chooses both. And that choice is what makes him unique. Because when you strip everything else away, when you remove the workload, the transitions, the constant adjustments, you're left with a pitcher who can strike out 10 hitters in 6 innings without losing control. That's not a secondary skill. That's ace-level dominance. In the end, this wasn't just a strong start. It was a controlled experiment, one where the Dodgers simplified the most complex player in baseball and discovered just how precise he can be when nothing interrupts his rhythm. And that might be the most dangerous version of Shohei Ohtani yet. Not the one doing everything, but the one who doesn't have to. For the first time in years, he chose one side. No bat, no leadoff presence, no safety net, just the mound. And that's when Shohei Ohtani delivered one of his sharpest statements yet. 10 strikeouts, 6 innings, 2 hits, 1 run, an 8-2 win for the Los Angeles Dodgers over the New York Mets. But the numbers aren't the story. The decision is because Ohtani didn't hit. For the first time since 2021, he took the field as a pitcher only. No designated hitter role, no mid-game switch. Once he walked off the mound, he was done. That's the hook, because this wasn't random. 2 days earlier, he took a 94 miles per hour pitch to the shoulder, then went 0 for 7 at the plate. Something was off. Not broken, but disrupted. And instead of pushing through both roles, the Dodgers made a call. Simplify it. Let him pitch. That's the turning point, because what followed wasn't just effective, it was dominant. Early on, the Mets tried to stay patient, work counts, force mistakes. It didn't last. Ohtani settled in fast, fastball climbing into the upper 90s, splitter diving late, command tightening with every inning. 10 strikeouts later, the message was clear. When you remove everything else, he still overwhelms, and maybe even more. That's the tension now, because this version of Ohtani looks different. More focused, more controlled, less scattered between roles, and it raises a question the Dodgers didn't have to ask before. Is he better when he's just a pitcher? Manager Dave Roberts said the move was about keeping him loose, managing the workload. But it doesn't exist in a vacuum. There's already pressure building around how he's used, complaints about pace, fatigue from travel, the constant grind of doing 2 jobs at once. This game, it removed all of that. No rush between innings, no gear changes, no split focus, just execution. And the result? A 0.50 ERA through 3 starts. That's not balance. That's control. The impact goes beyond one win, because now the Dodgers have proof. They can dial him back and still get dominance. They can protect him and still win. And that changes how they manage everything moving forward, especially with a long season ahead and October waiting. But here's the twist. Even sitting out as a hitter, Ohtani didn't lose ground. His 48-game on-base streak stays intact, untouched, because even when he steps away from one side of the game, he's still rewriting the other. One decision, one role removed, one performance that raises a bigger question than it answers. Because if Shohei Ohtani can dominate like this as just a pitcher, then what happens when he turns everything back on again?